We live in a world that's just constant noise, right? But what if I told you that one of the most powerful tools you have is something we almost never use? I'm talking about silence. Today we're going to dive into what's called the sovereignty of silence and really unpack its hidden power.
Okay, so when you think of silence, what comes to mind? For most of us, it's just emptiness, right? An absence of sound, a void. But I'm here to tell you, that's not it at all. In fact, that's completely wrong.
See, silence isn't a void. It's more like a canvas. It's this open space, and it's just full of potential. It's where you find the clarity and the answers that get totally drowned out by all the noise in our day-to-day lives. And that brings us to the core idea of this whole explainer. It's this simple phrase: silence is power. It sounds cool, but what does it actually mean? What kind of power are we even talking about here? Well, let's break it down. All right, first up, we're looking inward. The first kind of power that silence gives you is power over yourself. It's about unlocking what our source material calls self-command. That's where the word sovereignty in our title comes from. It literally means having complete control, self-command over your own thoughts, your impulses, your actions. You're basically becoming the ruler of your own mind. Pretty powerful stuff, right?
Okay, that all sounds great, being the ruler of your own mind, but how do you actually do that? How do we make this more than just a cool idea and turn it into something we can actually use?
Well, it's actually a pretty straightforward three-step process. First, you have to actively create silent space in your life. Then, in that quiet, you just observe your thoughts. Don't judge them, just watch them. And what happens is you create this little pause, this gap between something happening and you reacting to it. And in that gap, that's where you get the power to choose your response instead of just flying off the handle. So once you start getting a handle on that internal power, you can start using it out in the world. This is where we talk about the power of silence between us and our interactions with other people. Yeah, it's not just for meditating alone in a room. It's an incredible communication tool. Think about it. In any conversation, you've got a choice. The default for most of us is just to talk, right? To fill any awkward pause. But when you do that, you often give away information. You lose control. You're just reacting. But the other option, the powerful one, is to choose silence. Because when you're quiet, you're the one gathering info, you're maintaining leverage, and you're acting deliberately. Picture a high-stakes negotiation, or even just a tough conversation with a friend. When you just stop talking and stay silent, you create this vacuum. And you know what? People hate that. They get uncomfortable, and they rush to fill that silence. And in doing so, they often tell you exactly what you need to know, things they would have never said otherwise. So when you put these two pieces together, that internal self-command and the smart strategic use of silence with others, that's when you start building what we can call the sovereign self. Basically, mastering silence gives you this incredible toolkit. Suddenly, you have the power to actually observe what's going on, the power to listen, not just hear words, the power to think before you speak, the power to resist that knee-jerk reaction, and yeah, the power to control yourself and the situation you're in.
So what does this all mean? It means we have to completely rethink what power even looks like. It's not about who's yelling the loudest or who has the last word. Real, true power, it's often quiet. It's deliberate. It's found in that stillness.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. In this crazy, noisy world that's always pulling at you, always demanding you say something, what is your silence saying? If you chose to use it deliberately and powerfully, what message would it send?